All right. I hope you guys are ready for another panel. This one's going to be moderated by Avinoam Oltchik, VP Operations at MarketAcross Media Group. Our panelists are going to be discussing how to leverage on-chain data for Web3 activity, reviewing opportunities for builders and users alike, from security to trading to business development and customer relationships. This panel is going to teach you all the hottest trends in crypto. So please welcome Natalie Lubelchick, CEO and co-founder at a stealth mode startup. Tomer Weiss, Tomer Weiss, product at Hypernative. Tomer Sharoni, co-founder and CEO at Addressable. And Eyal Daskal, founder at Crymbo.
Is this working? Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming along, being with us here today, and for the lovely organizers of this amazing event. My name is Avinoam. I'm the VP of Operations for MarketAcross and also for Chainwire. And we're going to talk about the utilization of on-chain data. So to our dear panelists, please present yourself, your name, title, and the company you work for.
So we're coming out of stealth today. I'm Natalie. I'm the CEO of Aware Labs. Should we talk about the company or just the title?
Just the name of the company for now.
So hi, I'm Tomer Sharoni. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Addressable.
Tomer Weiss, product manager at Hypernative.
Hi, Eyal Daskal, founder and CEO at Crymbo.
Okay, now this may be a difficult task for crypto founders, but in only 2 or 3 sentences, if you can, please explain what your company does.
So in Aware, we're building a translation layer between blockchain data to modern data and AI solutions. Basically, the way blockchain data is structured today, it's in a way that's not readable and usable by all of the modern AI algorithms that we're seeing. And what we're trying to do is to bridge everything that's going on in Web 2, all the developments, with blockchain data and enable all of the new technologies to actually use blockchain data.
So at Addressable, we create data-driven user acquisition for Web3. So we connect wallets and social IDs, millions of them, and create a way for targeted campaigns for Web3 users and very accurate attribution for Web3 users in your application.
So at Hypernative, what we do is we use on-chain and off-chain data in order to detect Web3 related risks, and we connect to this detection automated preventive workflow to stop them before they happen.
So at Crymbo, basically, we build a bridge for financial institution, the traditional one, to access to a digital asset. We help them not just to trade for themselves, to offer their clients trading on digital assets. We do it by building infrastructure to manage and run all their blockchain activities. On top of it, we build models of trading, loans, payments, derivatives that will give an access to the mass adoption to come through these financial institutions.
All right, so before we go on, I have some questions to the crowd. Before we go on and talking about on-chain data, who here thinks he knows what on-chain data means? Please raise your hand. Okay, great. Please raise your hand if you've made a business decision or a trading decision based on on-chain data. Okay, and we'll see if there's any brave souls that would say they don't know what on-chain data is. Anyone? All right, there's a few brave souls. All right, so if you could please, in 1 sentence, explain what on-chain data is.
So I'm going to give the very technical explanation, but it's basically a set of logs documenting every function that's being executed on blockchain. The value in it is that it actually gives you complete visibility to whatever is happening in blockchain. And if you know how to use it, it then helps you really understand the business meaning of what these transactions or like actions mean.
In the marketing context, on-chain data is like the Visa log and MasterCard log of any user. So you can actually have a very good view on what they do and what they actually buy anywhere.
On-chain data is data that is a result of blockchain transaction or a data that mined into a blockchain block. For example, it can be metadata of a blockchain transaction, meaning they involve addresses or output of a smart contract.
I'll try to say it in 2 words. Transaction transparency, and for us, the people who work in traditional finance, this is the most important thing, I think.
Okay, lovely. So all of you are coming from a different perspective in terms of how to use on-chain data and what type of on-chain data to use. So we're going to learn a little bit more on what can be done for your stories. If you could tell us about one use case or one success story with a client, you can even name drop if you want, about a problem that you solved for a client, what type of client it is, and what data you provided to them, and how it helped them.
All right, so what we do with Polygon is we analyze their incoming customers. As a major blockchain, they want to identify developers, traders, and gamers that are coming into their network and into the dApps in their network. What they want to help all the ecosystem, each and every dApp, is to actually find the right users for them and help them grow. So as an ecosystem partner of ours, they would like to offer marketing services that enable each and every dApp to target the right users in Web3 through different types of advertising in Web 2, and actually measuring the right things, not just in the people who come to your website, also who connected their wallet or actually made a real transaction. And the other part that is very important is how to measure. So a lot of the companies say, oh, let's have an influencer campaign or an advertising campaign or even a quest that brings new clients in, but we never know, are these the real clients? Are these the real gamers that will play my game, or just window shoppers that will never do anything financially? And in this context, we really help each and every Polygon dApp today to be effective, to actually find the right followers within their Twitter account, find the right visitors within their website, and retarget them in many campaigns to actually make them cross this chasm and create a real transaction in their dApp or in their game or in their DeFi platform.
So again, Hypernative is a Web3 security platform, and one of our main use cases is prevent exploits before they happen. Now, we work with different segments. When we work on that use case with an institutional asset manager, the idea is to alert them about an exploit which about to happen to a pool they are invested their funds in, and in that way we help them to withdraw automatically their fund outside of this pool, and thus help them to save their assets and prevent them from losing everything. So this is one of the main use cases. The on-chain data we're using in order to make it happen. Basically, we monitor any smart contract deployed to the blockchain. We run our own anomaly detection agents in order to color a smart contract as suspicious. Crossing that with other indication, we can alert in high probability that a smart contract is an attacker smart contract, and we can also indicate who is the victim. So this is how we work with asset managers.
So our use case, I'm not sure I can say the name yet, but one of the banks approached us like a few months ago and said, listen, the most important thing for us is proof of reserve. How we can make sure that the the asset that our customer, that our asset are safe, or we know they are there. And basically, this is the first time we built a feature with one of our customers. We call it a global ledger. And this global ledger contains off-chain and on-chain data, not just from the specific activity from this bank, also from its vendors. So it cross vendors, cross on-chain and off-chain. And basically, this is the first time that we can see a real proof of reserve in the financial industry. Today, we see some CFI solution that show us like HTML with how many assets they have or how many percentage they have. This is the first time that we can leverage the on-chain data to show to the end customer that a real proof of reserve about his asset. And I think it's a great achievement for the industry.
Okay. Natalie, please.
So as I said, what we're doing in Aware is we're building a translation layer that takes blockchain data and transform it into a business language that can be used by like AI algorithms and modern data solutions. So the first step we did is actually focused on financial data, and specifically, Adam talked about it, in real-world asset tokenization data. And the first solution we built on top is basically kind of like a ChatGPT interface where any company that's tokenizing their assets on-chain can go in and ask whatever business-related question on that space. So one of the tokenization companies that we're working with, they were looking to actually build their strategy and decide how to tokenize the assets that are going to offer on-chain, meaning like what size, how to fragment the assets, to what type of investors they should approach. And one of the great things about blockchain is that you can actually look into your competition. You can look at the data of other platforms that are tokenizing assets and see who's trading what and how and what's actually like the most successful revenue stream. So they have this window into being able to build really successful strategies based on what's going on in the market and based on what their competition is doing, which is something that you cannot do today in Web 2. You don't have access to this kind of data. And if you know how to read it from blockchain, then it's really useful.
All right. Thank you for this answer. So I've got some direct questions to our participants. We're going to start with Tomer from Addressable. So expanding on a little bit what you've spoken about before, can you tell us how CMOs can use the combination of Web 2 data with Web 3 data to leverage their marketing efforts?
Yes, the challenge in Web 3 user acquisition is very similar to Web 2 user acquisition. It's hard. It's hard to get to new users. It's hard to find their attention. It's hard to make them actually make a purchase. The reason Web 3 is different is because of one thing. There is a ledger of transactions that is public, so you can use financial data or what people are really buying, not just within your business, but with anyone's business. And that's a big difference. Because when CMOs want to create a campaign, they try a lot of things. They try different channels of advertising and different organic channels. And different, in Web3, there are requesting channels and other exciting ways to engage users in a more native way, like airdrops or other kind of raffles. And all of these options, let's say there are 15 options to get new users, are hard to measure, and you don't know who to target. And what we enable in a way is for CMOs to have information at the beginning, who to start with. That is a good start. Who to start with usually is my previous customers and my competitors' customers. And only those who have bought something in the past week that are really interested in that time. And that's where to start, or how to plan your campaign in all those channels. And then the other side is how to measure. The measurement is called attribution, and doing this accurately is a big challenge in Web 2 as well as in Web 3, but you have another layer. You can measure on-chain transactions, and you have to somehow connect them to those channels, what came from organic SEO, what came from real advertisements, what came from this influencer, et cetera, et cetera. And with this planning side, you can see the blockchain data as a planner and start somewhere with accuracy. And with the measurement side, which is you see the blockchain data for who converted, who really bought something in your game or the app or whatever, any application actually, then with these two sides, you're able, as a CMO, to create a data-driven marketing channel.
Well, thank you. That was a great answer. Tomer, so as a product manager, I'm talking to Tomer Weiss. There's two Tomers. So Tomer from Hypernative, as a product manager, what are the main challenges that you've encountered in taking all of this elaborate, sometimes complicated data on the blockchain and making it actual readable and actionable info for your users?
Yeah, so basically the raw blockchain data is kind of the raw product I'm building or creating for my end user, because as a security company product manager, a significant part of the product is creating risk insights that basically present to the end user data from the blockchain that is an indication for a risk. So the challenges like building such a product is first and foremost is to make the data actionable. So when you present the risk insight for the end user, it's not enough just to say to have some title, an indication for attack because of the transaction between these addresses. You need to add a context to that data, business-related context, meaning, for example, for asset manager, you need to mention specifically how we expose, like mention you're exposed, for example, to that attack because you have an active position in this pool, and the contract is being attacked is the treasury wallet of the pool you are working with. So actionability is a serious issue that we always have in mind when we create a security alert. And this is the first challenge. Another challenge is to choose what data is relevant. If you just send everything to your users and not screening what data is relevant and what to the position is active at, then you'll do a very bad job because you'll miss all the important stuff. And the user will not be able to use your product. So actionability and relevancy are huge challenges for a product manager who building a security product that based on on-chain data.
All right, thank you. So Natalie, I wanted to ask you, with all of the latest developments that we've seen with AI technology kind of taking over every industry right now, how do you see this affecting our field, the field of on-chain data?
So I'll start by saying that there's one thing that I guess we can all agree about, is that what we've seen lately with like large language models and generative AI is that like AI is basically changing completely how we're using data in organizations. And being more specific, the biggest value I see in it is actually like democratizing the access to data to everyone. So you don't have to be in a data team anymore to understand and to use the data. You can be a business stakeholder and be able to really interact in a meaningful way with whatever type of data, actually the most complex data sets as well. But when it comes to blockchain, and it's all the reasons that we've discussed about, like blockchain data is completely different, and it's not something that in the form that it is, we can actually understand and interact with. The same with like the AI models, they can't really read blockchain data, so they can be used as this tool to actually interact with the data. And I think it's a big problem that we have to solve. It's literally like what we're trying to do, but eventually what it means is that the world is going really quickly into this like fully democratized accessibility to data and using data at the core of every organization. And I think what this means for us is that everyone in the blockchain space needs to step up and be able to bring blockchain data into a level where like we're able to offer the same accessibility, the same level of understanding of the data to business teams, to companies, because eventually that's going to be what's going to help companies really adopt this technology. I don't see blockchain being adopted without like its data being completely understandable to everyone. So this is the way I see it.
All right, thank you. So Eyal from Crymbo, you work with large fintech projects and banks and financial institutions. How do you see them approaching this field? How are they looking to leverage on-chain data? For what purposes?
To be honest, there is two steps. In the beginning, they're very afraid about the security and how we really work with this data. But once we have this challenge behind us, the most important thing, and basically this is what opened most of the door for financial institutions to go into this market, is profitability. How to create and have an access to new financial instrument that they can make, I would say, to make more money or to have better profitability. And I can quote one of the CEOs that we spoke a few months ago. He told me, I don't like crypto, I don't understand the Bitcoin, but I must put it in because all the customers want it. And try to imagine what he's going to do with all the data that he will get from the on-chain or from the blockchain, and to understand the needs, like Tomer said, to understand the needs or the segment or the preference of his customers. And most of them get into this market not just to start and trade crypto, because this is the basic and this is the first step they are doing. They are looking on the future. Most of them say, listen, I know I'm going to get to this market, very small, very sure about my steps, but they are planning a huge business on this blockchain, and I think this will be the future.
All right. So thank you all for your informing answers. So to our crowd, I just want to know, anyone have any questions they want to direct to our panelists? Anyone? It's hard to see, honestly, with the lights all projected at us. Okay, so I don't see any questions being asked, so we'll continue. There was? Yeah, I'm literally blind with the projector over here. So what's your name? Andre, please go ahead. Andre, is your question to someone specific or everyone in the panel? Which one? From Addressable, okay.
It's a great question. The clustering problem is a big challenge because we have to find all the businesses on chain, and they're adding up every day, every new block, every new smart contract that is being deployed. And we have to make sure we count different types of activities right. We have to count liquidity providing to a DeFi platform across all DeFi platforms. And we have to count different types of gaming activities, transactions or deposits in the right way. And we have to do this programmatically. So we have to actually make sure that each and every new thing that comes out, we don't have to have an analyst that will sit there and say, oh, this is a game, and this is a DeFi platform, and this is an NFT marketplace. So we use a lot of the data that exists within smart contracts. We use a lot of sources of data that are data feeds from different vendors like OpenSea and UpRadar and others. And we use multiple techniques to classify like what OpenZeppelin contract they inherit from, or what types of regular functions they have that indicate what it is. And then once we programmatically find each smart contract's clusters or tags, we have a lot of tags, then we can actually tag the users. So we say, oh, whoever transacted with this contract, we don't even have to find the right number, but if they transacted with that contract, they're a gamer. If they did that more than 7 times a week, there's a heavy gamer. And the same with DeFi platforms that have multiple functions, swaps or deposits or liquidity providing and others. So we have to classify all of that in a programmatic way, but to the level that is needed for marketing and not more than that.
Question answered? Okay, we have one more, the lady over here.
Sorry, I missed the first part. Must have been the most important. But I want to sort of I have a follow-up question to Tomer from Addressable. Right. So how much of the data that you actually seek to analyze on the public blockchain you actually download in-house for your own analysis, and how do you balance that with the questions of privacy?
That's a wonderful question. So the blockchain data, we have to analyze it in-house, meaning that we have to download each and every transaction from all the blockchains we support. So we have a replica of each and every transaction on Ethereum and Polygon and Binance Chain and Optimism and Arbitrum and others, all because we ask questions in big data. So the question is, who traded with that contract or with these 100 games in the past week? This question has to run on all of the transactions, and we cannot run this through a vendor like Alchemy or QuickNode or others. We have to do this in-house. So we have all the data from all the blockchains in-house. The question about privacy is how we make sure that we're GDPR compliant, and we are, and any other privacy regulation. And the answer is we never provide per user data that enables to identify anybody. So we only give audience analysis that makes your target audience at least a few thousands of people. And then you can target a few thousands of people in advertisements or in a quest, even with influencers in a way. But you cannot know who's who, and you cannot identify a single individual. This is how we keep the privacy, and we keep us regulatory compliant.
All right, so we're going to go back to one panel question and then go back to questions from the crowd, time permitting. So if you could help the audience here today leave this room with one insight or one understanding about the opportunities that they can benefit from by leveraging on-chain data, what would that be?
So I think the most important part for any business is to measure their activities. So my tip for any developer, any builder, any dApp owner is to accurately measure what they do on chain, what the users are doing in real financial value or TVL or lifetime value, and not in who visited my website, who followed my account, who responded to my Discord raffle. So measure real activity instead of vanity metrics in order to get the real insights about what's trending, what's happening, and what's the most effective thing you could do to get this real business that you're building to be profitable.
So my tip will be for the organizations representative sits in the crowd. And when it comes to security, up until recently, usually organization focused on auditing of smart contract, so security measurement before the contract deployed to the blockchain. And in the past few months, we have seen that by monitoring on-chain activity and using on-chain data, you can detect incident before they occur. And protect your funds. So my recommendation is definitely consider on-chain data monitoring for your security measurements.
I think the most important thing for on-chain data is the proof of reserve. I think once we rebuild the trust again after very difficult months and years, 2022, I think we need to build the retrust again, and the on-chain data together with the off-chain data can help us to make for the first time a real proof of reserve, and we will make sure that our assets are safe and we know exactly in any moment where they are.
All right, Natalie?
I'll just add that I think on-chain data offers a real opportunity to actually leverage the data before you even start operating on blockchain. So try and use the data when you think of doing something on chain. So look at your competitors, look at the market, really see what's working and what's not. Like, it's all there, and it's really useful before you shoot in the dark, before you have to like correct to what you've done. So I think like this is my biggest tip, just like start using it once you have an idea of what you want to do.
All right. Maybe untraditionally, I can add, I think that theoretically speaking, we can look at the blockchain like a road, and everything we are doing and everything that happens on this road, on this network, is documented with on-chain data. So if you are driving on this road, but you're not looking at data, that would be like driving blindfolded. So we all need to look at on-chain data and find the best ways we can to ensure our interests. So let's go back to questions from the crowd. I remember the gentleman in the first row. You had a question?
Yeah, a question from Natalie, actually. What's the difference between your company and Chainlink? And do you use AI to catch red flags on the Chainlink and chain data? Like if you have suspicious activity, large influxes, do you catch it with AI?
So we have two ways which we use AI. One is actually we built the data layer. We built a structure like a knowledge graph of blockchain data, that the format that it's built, the way the data is structured within our solution, it's in a way that's readable for like AI models and AI solutions. So for example, what I said about the free text solution that we offer to real-world asset tokenization platform, we actually trained open AIs, like large language models and generative AI models, on top of our structure. So what we do is we enable AI rather than just like rather than build AI models on the data. And no, we actually don't focus like more on like risk assessment or like threats and stuff like that. We actually focus on like making blockchain data accessible to business teams. So it's more on the business side. So hope it had. Yeah, really translate it into a business language. If you're again a machine or like a solution or like an AI model that will look at our data, like it will have business logic and structure and relations that you can then ask questions about, and they can make like sense and give you a relevant answer. So like this is what we're enabling.
All right. So I'm afraid we're out of time. I really want to thank you, Tomer and Natalie and Eyal, for coming here today, and for everyone listening to us and participating. And I hope you enjoy the conference. Thank you.